Imagine spending 5 years in a Russian prison, where the guards are so attentive they wake you every 2 hours just to make sure you're still breathing. Welcome to the world of Paul Whelan, the American who got an all-expenses-paid stay at Vladimir Putin's finest government-sponsored accommodations. Whelan, a former U.S Marine with citizenship in 4 countries, the United States, Canada, Ireland and the United Kingdom, was arrested in Moscow back in 2018 while attending a wedding. Apparently, the Russians thought he'd make a lovely addition to their collection of American souvenirs. They charged him with espionage, because why not? It's not like they need evidence or anything in the land of vodka and kangaroo courts. Our man Paul spent his time in the luxurious Lefatovo prison, a facility so exclusive it's run by the FSB. That's the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation, for those of you who aren't up to date on your spy agency acronyms. Lefatovo isn't just any old prison. It's a modern-day Bastille with a reputation that would make the Tower of London blush. Built in the 19th century, it's been home to political prisoners, notorious criminals, and now apparently unlucky wedding guests. The amenities at Lefatovo include 24/7 lighting and a wake-up call every 120 minutes. It's like a 5-star hotel if the stars were made of barbed wire and broken dreams. Whelan described it as a mild form of torture. Mild, he says. I've had worse experiences at budget hotels, but at least they let you sleep through the night. In Whelan's own words, they kept a light on 24 hours in my cell. Every 2 hours they would wake me up. It's like the world's worst alarm clock, with a side of psychological warfare. The guards were so dedicated to their wake-up calls, they'd shine lights in his face and take pictures, because nothing says justice like a middle-of-the-night photo shoot. But wait, there's more. Whelan wasn't just lounging about in his cell, contemplating the intricacies of the Russian legal system. Oh no, he was busy being a regular James Bond, using illegal cell phones to pass information to Western officials about other prisoners being forced to fight in Ukraine. Talk about multitasking. Who needs sleep when you can be a secret agent? Now, you might be wondering, how did he get these illegal phones? Well, my friends, it turns out that in Russian prisons, corruption is as common as borscht at a babushka's dinner table. Guards were happy to look the other way in exchange for a few cigarettes. It's like a bizarre underground economy where nicotine is the currency and information is the commodity. Whelan reported that 450 prisoners from his labour camp were sent to fight in Ukraine. They were used on the front lines to walk through minefields and draw enemy fire, he said. It's like a twisted version of the Hunger Games, but with less attractive tributes and more actual hunger. Now, you might be wondering, Ron, why didn't they just let him go earlier? Well, my friends, that's because in the game of international diplomacy, Whelan was the equivalent of a get-out-of-jail-free card. The US and Russia were playing a high-stakes game of Monopoly, and Whelan was the prized property everyone wanted. It took 7 countries to negotiate this prisoner swap. That's more coordination than it takes to plan a royal wedding or organise a queue at a British train station. Finally, on August 1st, 2024, Whelan was released as part of a massive exchange involving 16 prisoners. It was like a really depressing version of trading Pokemon cards, but instead of Pikachu, you're swapping people accused of espionage. The swap included not just Whelan, but also Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, who had been detained in Russia since March 2023. It's like Russia was having a 2-for-1 sale on wrongfully imprisoned Americans. But here's where it gets really interesting. Whelan has some choice words for how to deal with rogue leaders like Putin. He says any US president will have a hard time dealing with Putin, no matter how strong their relationship. Our president, he needs to be strong. She needs to be strong, Whelan said. It's like trying to reason with a cat. You might think you're getting somewhere, but in reality, they're just plotting to knock over your favourite vase. Whelan plans to write a book about his experiences. I can see the title now. From wedding bells to prison cells, a Moscow misadventure. It's sure to be a real page-turner. Maybe he'll include some tips on how to bribe guards for better food. I hear cigarettes are the currency of choice in the Russian prison economy. Speaking of the Russian prison system, let's talk about corruption. It's so rampant, you'd think it was part of the official prison diet. Whelan had to bribe corrupt guards just to get a decent meal. It's like the world's worst restaurant, where you have to pay extra just to avoid food poisoning. The whole system is more crooked than a politician's tax return. Now, my friends, if you want to hear more stories of international intrigue, make sure to tune in next time. It's less commitment than a 16-year prison sentence, I promise. In all seriousness, Whelan's ordeal sheds light on the harsh realities of international diplomacy and the human cost of geopolitical tensions. It's a stark reminder that while we joke about these situations, real people are caught in the crossfire of international politics. The release of Whelan and others marks a significant moment in U.S. Russia relations, but it's just one piece of a much larger, more complex puzzle. As tensions continue to simmer over the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the question remains, what's next in this high-stakes game of international chess? The US continues to support Ukraine's military and anti-corruption efforts, while Russia seems determined to collect more American tourists for their prison system. Whelan's story is a testament to human resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity. It's also a wake-up call for all of us to pay attention to what's happening on the global stage. Because meow, my friends, in today's interconnected world, what happens in a Moscow prison cell can have ripple effects that reach far beyond Russia's borders. The psychological effects of Whelan's imprisonment are profound. He's dealing with PTSD and struggling to readjust to normal life. Imagine spending 5 years in a place where sleep is a luxury and then suddenly being expected to function in the real world. It's like going from a silent movie to an IMAX theatre without warning. And let's not forget about the Wagner Group, the Russian paramilitary organization that's been recruiting prisoners to fight in Ukraine. It's like they're running a twisted version of a job fair in the prison yard. Sign up now and trade your prison uniform for a military one. Perks include a chance to see Ukraine and a slightly higher likelihood of being shot at. In the end, Whelan's case is a reminder that in the world of international espionage and diplomacy, the truth is often stranger than fiction. It's a world where weddings can lead to prison cells, where cigarettes can buy phone calls, and where the line between prisoner and soldier is blurrier than a Russian official's moral compass. So the next time you're planning a destination wedding, maybe check if the country has a habit of collecting Americans as souvenirs. And if you find yourself in a Russian prison, remember, sleep is for the weak, bribery is a survival skill, and there's always a chance you might end up as a bargaining chip in a global game of political poker. I'm Ron de Parmesan, and this has been another Newscat special report. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more updates. Remember, in the world of international relations, today's prisoner swap could be tomorrow's diplomatic incident. Cheers, and don't forget to check under your bed for Russian spies.